Hello everyone, my name is Gus.
Hi, I'm Woody.
Today we have an interesting video because I've noticed this trend where people react to like TikTok advice. I've been hooked into like this TikTok advice about cars, TikTok advice about tools or whatever. So there's TikTok tips about scuba. So I decided let me get 10 tips out there, just random from different channels. And we're just going to play them in their entirety because they're short videos. And then we can just give our feedback.
I think I'm going to learn a lot. I can't wait.
Let's see. Some of these, by the way, we're going to disagree. So we're probably going to have like a 10-minute discussion on a 1-minute tip. But I feel like if you clicked on a Divers React tip and a channel called Dive Talk, there's going to be talking.
Oh, we're going to talk.
But if you don't want to hear us talk, all the links to all the tips are on the description, so click on them. Go watch them. You don't have to watch us. And give them a like and a subscribe to all these great channels.
I can't wait to talk about these.
Okay.
Hey, Marcel.
Hey, what's up?
You got any tips for night diving?
Absolutely. I got 3 tips to enjoy your night dives a lot better. Tip number 1, go really, really nice and slow under the water and go really nice and close with your torch to the reef. Then you can see the reef in its original colors. It's absolutely amazing, like the rainbow. Just make sure, of course, that you don't touch that reef because we need to take care of that delicate aquatic life. All right, tip number 2 is to take the torch off at one point and then you start moving your hands and you can actually play with the bioluminescence when you move through the water, creating this incredible fireworks shows around you. And tip number 3, talking about torches, I highly recommend you to get this amazing torch called the Orca Torch D710. And if you want one of these babies, click the 3 dots above and in the description you'll find a link to get you out. Let's go night diving.
Okay, so interesting. I didn't know that he was going to talk about Orca Torch when I downloaded it, but yeah, the D710 is a great light. That is true. But you know what I found interesting is that his first tip is go slow. I didn't know that you were following his tips all along in every dive, every time you get in the water. Interesting.
That sounded insulting, but I could be wrong. No, I'm just saying. All right, listen. I totally agree with all 3.
Nice.
Can I tell you why?
Of course,
All
of course.
Number 1 tip on a night dive. Go slow. Where are you going? And guess what?
Or a day dive.
Those aliens at night that come out, the disguisers.
Like octopus, you mean?
Yes, that's what I said. Right?
Right.
Everybody knows. They're really hard to see. They're very hard to see. So the slower you go, the better it is. You're going to see them, and they're going to trust you, and they're going to come out. And by the way, like, you think it's like better over there? Like, what's over there? That's not right here. They're all over there.
Dude,
they must be there.
20 feet over there.
That's where it's at.
It's insane.
Right? I mean, like, your
Right.
spot is just fine. So the slower you go, for me, the more I see at night, always. Number 2 tip is really cool. If you take your light, probably don't turn it up, but just put it up against you, and you move real fast, like move your arm, especially like in South Florida, you get all that bioluminescence, right?
Yeah.
And I always have said, in my opinion, we're breathing in that bioluminescence, and that's where I get the so special powers that I talk about.
This just went south.
Those powers
Big
feel
time.
amazing. You are going to feel something so uniquely special because of those special energetic powers that you're getting. And then number 3, that's an amazing light.
Yeah.
You turned me on to the Orca Torch lights. That's all I use now. If you hold one, just purely hold it. They're super solid.
Like a tank.
They're easy to use. I believe that one has 3 O-rings.
Yeah.
Right? So really, really
Reliable.
good protection for flood proofing. We love Orca Torch.
Yeah, they're great. And I always tell people, you don't have to buy from us or anything like that. Just go to your local dive shop and buy it from them. No problem. The D710 that he recommended is actually a really good light. It's like 3,000 lumen for $160 or something like that. It's very inexpensive compared with other brands. And if you do buy from Orca Torch directly, just use code DiveTalk for a 10% off. We don't get a 10% commission. You get the discount. So it's great. So go ahead and check it out. But speaking of night dives, what tips like if you had to add to his tips? You do one, I'll do one.
Okay. One tip that I've always added when I led groups at night is that let's say you have a group.
Yeah.
And there's another group approaching.
Yep.
They all look the same. They all got a bunch of lights. They're waving all over the place. If you cross close to each other, when you come to the other side and you pass each other, you're going to look right and be like, who are you? And they're going to be the same.
Yeah.
It's like everybody's all mixed mashed together. It happens all the time.
Absolutely.
So when I see another group, even remotely coming, I tell my group in the briefing, we're going the other way. Move away from the other group. If you're going to go somewhere, don't crisscross or you have a whole new round of divers with you.
Not only the divers look the same at night on the water, but the boats look the same too. So like once you surface, every boat is like, is that my boat? Is that my boat? Like you never know. And I've talked to several friends who have surfaced in the wrong boat and they have to radio like, hey, I got your guy over here.
Kind of embarrassing.
So it does happen.
I may or may not have accidentally ended up on another boat. Hi, I'm Woody.
My tip would be to not rely on each other's equipment. So I've seen this before where they'll have like you and your dive buddy have one light between the two of you. You know, like if the dive fails or if you get, separated for some reason, now you don't have a light. Like, no, you should bring your own light. Not only that, but I think during the night and limited visibility class, they tell you to have at least 3 between the two of you. So in case one of them fails, you can give the other person the other one. But,
Great tip.
I think you should have 2 lights each to dive just in case.
Great
I
tip.
think lights are very reliable. The tip about putting it against you, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But if you turn it off, the chances of it not turning back on after the fact is very small.
Agree.
Even with, inexpensive lights, they're pretty reliable. But still, have 2 lights.
Agree.
All right.
Great tip.
Next tip, this one is going to be about acquiring gear. So if you're a brand new diver, you're going to buy gear. How should you do it?
Okay.
How much does it matter the brand?
It matters on how the individual that bought that brand takes care of it. It's a tool. What are you going to do with that tool? Are you going to go dive in 20 feet of water down in the Keys looking for bugs? Then you don't really need the most expensive hammer in the drawer. If you're going to go start tech diving, you're going to rely on it at deeper and greater depth, low visibility, or something like that. You're going to step up to a more expensive hammer.
Do you think it would be wise for somebody to just go ahead and get the good hammer in the beginning and never have to buy a second hammer?
That's a good question.
Really interesting. Big topic of discussion.
Yes.
The first thing we have to be mindful of is that I was talking to Mike Young just about this today. We're now doing dives that is not the vast majority of divers.
Right.
We have to try to put on a hat of what it was like or what it's like for new divers. And what do they really want? I don't know what percent. A very high percent of divers, they just want to jump in the water and be safe. They feel like they're doing a little bit of a sense of adventure,
Yep.
and they're breathing underwater. And for the most part, they want to see some marine life. Maybe we'll see a manta ray, right? That's what most divers really want.
Yeah.
So most divers are recreational divers, right? They're in no deco limit divers that can come to the surface at any time. Do you need the most expensive recreational kit for that type of diving? And the answer is that you really don't.
Right.
Because the gear is really good now at all levels. Is there a difference between really expensive gear and not expensive gear? There is.
Yeah.
It fits better. It may have integrated pockets where the others may not. The regulator could definitely breathe easier.
Yep.
Most of them are balanced now. There is a difference, but is it necessary? You got to be mindful of your budget and the kind of diving you're doing. You're going to be fine with a mid-level set of gear with a reliable brand. And then the final thing I'll say on it, I think it's more important to buy a brand where you are in an area where that dive shop can service it.
Exactly.
And probably that other divers that you're going to be diving with may be diving similar gear, so you're familiar with each other.
I think
Because
that's the key word.
if you go on the internet and buy the gear for a little bit cheaper even,
Yeah.
do your local area service it, because you probably can't service it yourself. And the servicing is what's going to keep it safe.
Yep.
That's my overall opinion.
No, I think that's dead on. I always find it interesting when people buy everything online to save a few bucks, because typically what happens is that dive and equipment the manufacturer the manufacturers, they set the pricing on which their gear is supposed to be sold. And even if you sell online, you have limitations on how you can offer the gear and how cheaper you can offer. And you can look, like, just pick something like, okay, so this is the new Shearwater Turn, all right? Did they say you have one? Take it easy. They send you one too. But anyway, Shearwater sent us one because they knew our feet. They knew we were going to use it and put it, to the test and provide our, impartial
Laugh
feedback.
because the take it easy part. Sorry.
Take it easy. So anyway, if you
fun.
look for this computer,
Yes.
all right, whether you buy it online or at your local shop, 99.999% chance it will cost the same. It's the same price because Shearwater dictates that if you're going to be a Shearwater vendor, you need to sell it for the price that the Shearwater sets it to. Sometimes you find stuff like, like tanks and things like that will be a little bit cheaper online, but then in order for you to use it, like if you want to use it at your local dive shop's pool, for example, because you're wisely saying, I just bought a piece of equipment, the first time I'm going to use it, I'm not going to jump in the middle of the Pacific Ocean and hope that it works. So I'm going to go into my local dive shop, jump in their pool, make sure everything works. Typically, the local dive shop will have to inspect and service the gear before they let you jump in the pool because of insurance reasons or whatever. So the $30 that you save buying that regulator online, now you're paying $50 to have it serviced so you can jump in the pool, whereas you could have just bought it for $30 more from the local dive shop who would have done the service for free, right? So in a lot of cases, you don't save any money by buying online, or it's so insignificant that I rather pay 5 or 10% more that I know that if this thing doesn't work or if I do a couple dives and it fails, I can go yell at my local guy in my local dive shop and they'll probably give me a good one or a brand new one because I'm complaining and it didn't work.
Or you could be not your normal self and just ask them respectfully.
Okay. All right.
Well, I'm just saying, in case you're not cranky one day.
But that connects to what you said about the most expensive gear, right?
Yes.
Sometimes you will look at that Apex regulator that is graded for like Arctic temperatures. And of course, in order for them to be able to put that rating on the regulator, they have to use materials that the cheaper regulators are not going to have. So are you okay buying a $1,500 set of regulators? Are they going to work in the Keys in 20 feet of water? Of course, right? Should you do it? That's a really good question. I think that if you can afford it and you want to have the best, go ahead and get it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Do you need it? Probably not. And also, it doesn't mean that the $500 or $400 regulator is not going to work or it's a piece of crap. That's not how it works. I think that in the past, like 20 years ago, there would be company and equipment that you would say, this stuff is trash. I think that we've advanced so much. Yes. And honestly, I feel like 98% of the scuba equipment is made in the same plants in China, Taiwan, Italy, whatever they make it. It's like one company making all the masks. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So you're benefiting from the fact that one company's making all this stuff, and the difference in quality between the different pieces of gear is not much, right? So the prices fluctuate, but the quality of it does not fluctuate that much.
Spot on.
Sometimes you see these brands, like I don't want to name, but cult-like brands that, will cost triple of it and try to convince you that, oh, no, these are made with by nuns in the Vatican. Like, stop it. They're not, they're made all in the same factory.
Just trying to picture that.
Stop.
See the nuns.
Stop it. I'm just saying they try to make it sound like this stuff is made by some special, astronauts. Like, no. They're all made by the same. You're just paying for the exclusivity, and they try to push you into it because you're in a cult. Whatever. I'm just saying. I don't think that there's anything wrong with buying the best, with sticking with one brand. If you like Scuba Pro and you want to be decked out head to toe in Scuba Pro, go for it. If you think that it makes more sense to have fins from Deep Six and your wetsuit from Henderson and your regulator from someone, that's fine too. Like, no one cares. As long as it's safe, it's maintained, and someone nearby, like you mentioned, can service it, have at it. Cool?
Totally agree.
Next tip.
Whenever you go diving, consider carrying a dive knife. That way, if you ever find any rope or fishing line on the coral, you can use it to cut it off. Also look for a dive knife with a metal backing on it. That way, if you ever need to get your buddy's attention, you can take that backing and wrap it against your tank to make a bell-like tone and get your buddy's attention.
Let's not.
I've never heard that before, but actually, it's good point.
Really?
So listen.
Oh boy.
Overall, I agree with the tip. You got to have a cutting device,
yes,
right? Or whatever you want to call it. Some people have the little,
the easy cuts,
the
that
easy
we use.
cuts,
Yeah.
because the purpose of it is to cut yourself out of entanglement.
Yes.
There could be fishing lines, certainly on wrecks in South Florida. We see the fishing line all the time in the Keys, so you can get caught in it. As a matter of fact, I cut. You have to admit, you out of some.
Yeah, going
right?
into the
You're
eel's
like,
nest.
I'm like, see your fin just all crunched up. Cut. Boom, gone. You were great.
By the way,
it's a safety item. That's all.
Easy cut, like I think, is made out of like scalpels. Like that thing is so sharp, it cuts through
Boom.
anything.
It's great.
I love it. We're not sponsored by Easy Cut in
Yes.
any way. I don't even know who owns Easy
Now,
Cut, but they're great.
Now, we did react in the past to a video where a guy stabbed himself in the heart.
Okay, not with that knife. Did you see that knife? It looked like a screwdriver.
Not with that. He would have been like, I'm like, I can't die, man. I cannot die.
But the whole...
But I'm just saying, it's not for, because again, now I'm talking to non-divers. We don't use this knife. It's a big misunderstanding to stab anything other than safety device to cut ourselves out of stuff.
Right.
And, some people have a rattle, like instructors, like a shaker rattle or whatever to
pulling
make a
your
noise.
sensible knife, right, underwater, and then use that to, like, hit your tank. Like, you're going to murder somebody in the process of calling your buddy or yourself. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't make any sense. The whole thing
if
about...
you pulled that out underwater, right? Everybody would be like, this guy's a lunatic. Nobody's ever seen that before.
It's so dumb. But yeah, no, don't use your knife and like wave it around to bang on your tank. Like, no.
I've never seen that.
I've
I
never
haven't
heard
seen
that
before.
But I have heard about using double enders. So you have an extra double ender, bang it on your tank. Yeah, that would work. At least you're not gonna kill somebody or yourself by trying to get somebody's attention.
Okay, move on.
Next tip.
Aloha guys, Andy is demonstrating why we do not want to splash and swim away from sharks. Splashing and swimming away imitates what prey does. When we're dealing with top predators like sharks, we want to also act like a predator. So what you'd actually want to do is not splash, turn around, face the animal, and maintain eye contact. With tiger sharks, you can place your hand on the top of their head, push down gently, and that will redirect them away from you.
That looks awesome, by the way.
What?
I have actually, there's a lot of discussion on this. Now, first of all, Christina Zanato is the shark whisperer. I mean, she interacts with them all the time. So in South Florida, there is a group, I just forgot his name all of a sudden, but he's a master at basically going out and snorkeling with the sharks. So that whole theory about never be on the top, snorkeling, you want to go under as quickly as possible because the sharks are automatically going to attack you if you're on the surface splashing around. How many articles have you seen in the past 10 years of all these snorkelers that are out there snorkeling with the sharks getting annihilated? I'm not saying never.
Right.
Okay, I get it. It maybe it's happened.
Because we're gonna get flooded in the
comments.
comments.
It's not never.
with
You don't have to
links
put.
it.
I know this happened. Look at this.
One time.
You don't put it in. We know it has happened.
It's one time
But
at Bandcamp.
if the shark is coming at you and you start swimming away erratically at it or whatever, I have heard that before, that they could mistake you for weak prey because sharks are opportunists, rather than if you turn towards them and either get really still, right, like you're not a threat to them, don't start charging them or whatever, then they'll just veer off and veer away, which we've experienced that a million times. They're coming towards you. We don't freak. We just stand there and they usually just veer away.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say. It seems like a reasonable tip to me.
Dude, that look insane. That
A tiger
humongous shark.
Tiger.
Swimming back. And she's like, just put your hand on the mouth and it will move.
On the top of it.
Like, try that with anything. It would destroy you. Like, go to South Africa on a safari and a lion is coming and just put your hand in the head and push him out of the way.
your hand's gone.
That's the last thing you do.
Hand's gone. So yeah, Christina may watch this. Maybe she can comment on it.
All right.
Today I have a quick tip for you on how to improve your air consumption. Implement this on your next dive and you will increase your bottom time. And what is that? It is to stop moving. Yes, stop moving. And why? Because more movement equals more air used. You don't want to be the Energizer Bunny down there. You want to use the minimum amount of movement possible. Now, it's natural when you first start diving, you're going to be fidgeting down there, you're going to be playing with your BC, etc. And it's very common. All new divers do it. But I want you to be aware of your movement at all times. And when you find yourself making unnecessary movement, stop. Remember, less movement equals less air used. Now, it's simple, but you will be amazed at the difference it does make. So on your next dive, think, am I being the Energizer Bunny or am I being Buddha?
Okay.
Did you purposely show them my comments for all these years and now they're all adapted?
Who knew?
Where are you going?
Who knew?
When I'm diving with, where are we going? Why do we have to rush?
You've just been following all these tips.
My
Moving slow.
God, to keep
not
up.
moving.
Him in a cave. I'm having a heart
Pretending
attack.
to be bacteria.
Hold on. Let me just relax. It's okay. We're not going anywhere.
But no, okay. Going back to the tip.
I love this tip.
Okay. But
Where are
okay.
we going?
Stop moving. What do you
Just
mean?
chill. I like
sometimes
to
you
go
have to
down.
move.
Sometimes you have to move. She's not saying that. If you don't have to move, let's say we go down. We're in an ocean where she's at.
Yeah.
We go on a beautiful reef or whatever. Take a moment to relax. There's a whole micro world right there in that area.
Pretend you've drowned.
And just watch. It's amazing all the activity that will happen. Yes, if we're in Cozumel and we're all going somewhere and we're drifting along, keep up with the group, right? You don't want to be left behind or whatever, but man, you will consume way less air, like she said, and you will see way more. So, wow, I agree.
Stop moving.
Relax. Stop. This is what I'm saying to you. I love diving with you. You're my favorite person to dive in a cave with.
Thank you.
Where are you going though?
The feeling.
Are we going 1,000 miles an hour?
No. But back to the video. I think this is a good example of why trim and buoyancy matter.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
Because now,
yeah.
Okay. The whole idea about if you notice you're moving, stop moving. That's not gonna work in every dive. Sometimes you have to move. You have to move. You have to swim. You're in a wreck. You want to go from the bow to whatever. Like you need to move. The challenge is how can you get from A to B while exerting the least amount of movement? All right. And we do get this question a lot from people who are like, why are you guys like Nazis about this trim thing where you have to be perfect? It's like, no, you can do whatever you want. You can walk around and disco dance in the water, but the problem is that you're exerting all this effort to move from point A to point B. Who cares and all this stuff? Like, well, your air consumption will dramatically increase if you're not in the proper trim and buoyancy. That's basically it. So
no question about it.
The whole idea about stop moving, yeah, I guess if you're in Cozumel on a drift dive, it's awesome. It's conveyor belt. I call it conveyor belt diving. You're just there, not moving, and it's just taking you around. It's great. But if you do have to move, get in proper trim and kick. And be streamlined, right? I think we used to do this experiment when you have like a BC and you streamline everything and let it sink to the bottom of the pool. And then you pull everything out, just have all these hoses and then let it sink and how much longer it takes to get to the bottom. Just a BC by itself, a BCD by itself takes way longer by not being streamlined. So get streamlined, getting trim, and chill, like cruise.
It's great input.
All right, next one.
Negative entry is a very useful deep water entry to practice and have in your diving repertoire. This entry is used when diving in strong current without a line. Unlike the other deep water entries, you want to do this with a completely empty BCD. The name is negative entry, so you want to be negatively buoyant. That means before you jump in, you need to open your dump valve and squeeze all of the air out of your BCD. I've seen people take the inflator hose and like suck the air out of the BCD, and I don't recommend that. If you're like me and you have a really old BCD and you haven't always been super great about cleaning and drying it, like imagine the mold that is inside of your BCD that you are just like inhaling into your lungs. Ew, don't do that. Anyway, also.
Listen, we know this is the case in South Florida.
Yeah.
Right? In South Florida is drift diving, unless the Gulf Stream dies.
All right. I want you to explain what negative entry is.
Okay. So listen, in South Florida, you have the Gulf Stream. It is moving.
Yeah.
So what the captain does is they say, look, I want you to negative enter here. Get in and get down because I'm going to drop you to where you'll drift. And by the time you hit the bottom, they are so good there, they time it to where you'll end up right on the wreck.
Correct.
And by the way, isn't it amazing that we always end up on the wreck?
Insane.
It's unbelievable how good they are.
Yeah.
So what you have to do is you have to be able to immediately, the moment you enter the water, you're moving down. You're not jumping in and then having to deflate your BC. So what you do is you deflate that BCD all the way, just like she said, I agree with, because when you think you've deflated it all the way, you got to squeeze. There's a little of extra air in there. And yeah, I've made the comment before that you can suck and get the rest of it out, but she's probably right.
No, she is right.
You're better off not doing that. And then when you get into trim because you want to watch your diver, your partner below you, he made it right or next to you, that you're both drifting along, moving down at the same time and end up in that wreck together. It's
Correct.
A perfect explanation that she gave.
Most of the time, when you dive out of a boat, the boat captain and the staff want you to drop in the water, whether it is, rolling backwards or doing a giant, whatever, however you get in the water. They want you to stay on the surface and give them an okay. I'm okay, and typically everybody jumps in and then you all go down at once. That's the typical diving of a boat everywhere. Sometimes, as Woody mentioned, especially when you're doing a wreck, when it's a more advanced group, the captain will do a negative entry where you jump in and sink. I'm not going to explain the whole thing again. You did a great job. Now, the point is, with the whole sucking out the air, I'm not recommending this. I'm not a doctor. I've said this before. A lot of people watching think.
I always
a lot
forget.
of people
I
watching
forget
think.
when you remind me that you don't have a PhD and all that.
Now, you don't have to breathe in all the mold. Because it's true, like especially on the cenotes that we dive, I mean, there is creatures in there, viruses in there that if they get out, it's like
the whole world is
COVID-23 to COVID-24. So, but I do, like after I empty as much as possible, I do suck it out as if I'm sucking like in a cigar, where you suck into your mouth and then blow out, like not into your lungs. So, can I get mesothelioma by doing that still? Probably. Right? But I still do it because I want to make sure that once I drop in, I mean, I've missed the wreck in South Florida because I've been an idiot. I think I was completely deflated, but it's not. And then it's like, oh, hold on, I'm going to deflate. By the time I get down there, I just land in sand. And I see the wreck over there. Hi. And then I have to swim against the current.
Which is not easy. Your air is gone.
So I take the air out. I know Sarah, who just gave the tip. Great to meet Sarah, by the way, at Dima. She's great.
Yeah, she was awesome.
She was awesome. Sarah doesn't do it. She's way better at this than me. I have to do it. I have to suck the air out. I don't inhale it. So far, I've survived.
And I have to admit, I do as well. But I think she has a valid tip, right?
Absolutely.
You don't know what's in that thing. I try to wash mine out every so often with slosh. That's what I use.
Yeah. But if you can, do you like drop?
Well, you could steramine it. You could steramine it.
That's
yeah.
the word I was looking for.
You can steramine it. I certainly steramine all the loop and the counter lungs and the rebreather.
Yeah.
I don't really usually do that in the BC. Usually I just get the stank out with slosh.
Yeah. So
anyway,
steramine, get some, mix it up, and then wash your BCD once in a while.
It kills everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it kills everything. All right, next tip.
Next time you go shore diving, bring along a large carabiner with you. This will allow you to clip off your mask, fins, snorkel, watch, even a compass, and you can clip it off on your BCD so that way when you're doing your entries and exits, your hands are free to help other people.
Okay.
Well,
so
I've never done that. I'm just saying that doesn't mean it's not right. I usually just wear it.
Right.
Well, that's what I've always done for all these years.
Well,
but
like, you should clip things on,
well, the
right?
fins, obviously,
Yeah.
in shore diving, if you're going to wear fins, you're going to probably have to walk backwards into the shore. There's going to be waves, and then you just fall down, and you're kind of sitting there.
Yeah.
And you could flip over
What
and go. But
so what I do
carrying
is
it, I don't usually have that big thing.
all the stuff you're carrying on the dive, which should be only the stuff you need for the dive. Like, so don't be a Christmas tree bringing everything you've bought and order online because you don't need it. So bring in the stuff that you need. The stuff that you need should have a place on your BC or your pockets where it goes. So that leaves you with like your fins and your mask maybe. Mm-hmm. Your mask you can put in your head, right, or on your head. I typically go backwards, right? So the strap is in my forehead and it's not, hurting me or whatever. Or people lose their mind because it's like, oh, if the mask is in your head, you're clearly in distress. Which is dumb. But anyway, that's another episode, all right, of scuba myths. But anyway, the mask is in my head, and all I have in my hands is my fins. Now, I don't walk backwards. I walk until like I'm waist deep or chest deep or whatever, and then do the figure 4 with my legs and put my fins in, and then go for it.
Or just sit down in the water.
Yeah.
This is what I do in South Florida. I just get beyond where the waves break.
Mm-hmm.
I just get a little bit beyond that. Just wade out a little bit. Sit down in the nice. Now I'm weightless.
Yeah.
And just put my fins on.
Yeah.
But that's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that tip.
It's not a bad thing.
Whatever.
Like if you have a giant carabiner and you want to strap everything in a giant carabiner and hopefully it doesn't.
But is that giant carabiner now in the dive? This giant thing?
You have to take it with you on the dive. What are you
I'll be like, are you going to cave dive with that thing? Look at that thing. Remember the hook yourself up to the cave with that thing?
Right. Would you now get trapped with line and drown? I don't know. Maybe. It's just an extra thing that you don't need. In my opinion.
I don't want to. I'm not carrying that thing.
But if you have one, I mean,
okay,
I guess so.
Frequently, as a scuba diving instructor, my male students ask me, what do I do if I have a beard and my mask doesn't seal properly? Well, there's a very easy trick. You just have to shave 2 millimeters just below your nose, and the mask will seal much better right away.
I do that.
But then the mask was
I do
below
that.
I
do that. So on my stash, this part right here, not today because I didn't shave, but I shave right there to where the mask sits above the mustache against my skin. I do exactly that.
Yeah.
But plenty of people just put it right on their beard or mustache and it seals. And I've saw some people put Vaseline on or whatever, but yours never leaks and you do it right on your beard, right?
Yeah, I don't shave
no problem
ever. No, so I think, and I do get this question once in a while. It's like, how do you do it? Like, you have a beard. How? I happen to find a mask that fits my face perfectly, like by accident. There was a time where I really got into Poseidon stuff, Poseidon regulators, Poseidon everything, and I decided to try their mask. They make several colors. They're called the black line mask is the one that I use, but I have a red line mask, which is the same mask but in red that I use at the aquarium. I bought it in a different color because that way I don't mix and match, right? They have a white line mask, which is the same but in white. So anyway, they have this mask that happens to fit my face perfectly. And the silicone they use or whatever they use for the mask skirt, the stuff that goes against your face, is great for me. Now, interestingly enough, this mask only never leaks when I have a regulator or something in my mouth, basically. So if I don't have a regulator in my mouth, the mask leaks. Like I can breathe through my nose with the mask on if I don't have a regulator. But for some reason, as soon as I put a regulator in, the shape of my face changes and it's a perfect seal. It's so weird. So I think that you don't necessarily have to shave. If you do, fine. That trick obviously works. But you can be perfectly shaved. If the mask doesn't fit your face, it will leak. No matter what. You have to have the right fit.
And you have to know how to fit it properly.
Yeah.
Because every mask will fit if you put it on your face and you suck in hard with your nose.
Right.
It's going to seal.
Right.
But the real way to do it is lean your head back, rest it on your face.
Yeah.
Have somebody look and make sure there's no creases in it where it's just sitting there and you're not sucking in. And then it should be fine.
And Chris Richardson gave me this tip. He was really good. He is bring in a mouthpiece from a regulator, not the whole regulator, just the mouthpiece, and put it in your mouth and put the mask on and check, like you said, for seal and all of that.
That's great.
Just with a mouthpiece, because with just the mouthpiece, you can breathe in and out of your nose.
It could change. You're right. It could change the shape here a little bit.
Correct. So he's like, just bring it with you. It's not weird. Bring it with you. Try the masks, and that because you're gonna have the mask on when you're breathing out of a regulator.
I knew that guy Chris had some tips.
He's great.
I knew it.
He gave me that tip, and
It's a great tip.
I thought it was a great idea. But the whole Vaseline thing, if you do have a beard, don't put Vaseline in your mask. It will ruin it. By the way, if you didn't know that. So somebody told me this. I've never tried it because, again, I'm lucky. I found the mask
silicone?
that fits. Yeah, the silicone
Destroys it?
It destroys it.
Yeah.
But somebody told me they use the anti-fog. The same liquid that we use for the mask so it doesn't fog. They use that in the mask, and that apparently seals.
Cool.
I don't know. So if you use spit or whatever, that kind of seal. I don't know if baby shampoo. Some people use baby shampoo for their anti-fog. Try that. Maybe that will, but don't do Vaseline. It will destroy your mask. So, next tip.
Scuba Skills Episode 4. If your regulator falls out while diving, don't worry, you're not going to die. Here's what you need to do. First, anytime the regulator is out of your mouth, you need to exhale small bubbles. This is going to protect your lungs from overexpansion injuries. And then, when you put your regulator back in your mouth, it's very important that you purge the water out before inhaling. One way is to tap the purge button on the front of the regulator, and then you can safely inhale. The second method is to forcefully exhale to push the water out of the regulator, just like when you purge a snorkel. Ready, blow. I think the purge button method is a little bit easier since you don't need air in your lungs to do it. In the next video, I'll show you guys some tips on how to find your regulator just in case you can't see it. See you in the next video.
Okay, so tip number 1, I guess, be on your knees at the bottom. Apparently, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Okay, because this is one thing I disagree with. I think that this rule of scuba diving, of every time the regulator's out of your mouth, you need to blow bubbles, is dumb. I disagree with it, okay? And the reason why I disagree with it is the whole holding air in your lungs so you don't overexpand or whatever, like blow bubbles so you don't have that only matters if you go up and you hold your breath. All right? So how do you do it in real life? Like, just take off your instructor hat. If you're diving and somebody kicks your regulator, are you really blowing bubbles? No, you're going to put it back on and keep going.
Yeah. But I would teach to blow bubbles. And a lot of times they'll take these new divers into the ocean where there is upwelling. There's a ton of it over in Southeast Asia. And all these new divers, man, they are being blown up fast. Okay. So why not add that overly cautious? Well, it's not long. I mean, they should be able to, within 3 seconds, put that thing back. If you are going to blow bubbles, though, this is where I agree with you. If you are, it's tiny, little bubbles.
I think that this rule of scuba diving, like never hold your breath when you're scuba diving, it's
beneficial.
It's not detailed enough. The rule should be never hold your breath if you're going up, if you're ascending. That's really the rule. You can hold your breath and descend 10 feet and nothing's going to happen. Your lungs are not going to blow up. You're not going to die. Everything is fine. You can hold your breath.
We're just, again, put your brand new diver hat on. We just want to be extra safe. I don't want a brand new diver holding their breath ever. I just would rather them be in the mindset when the regulator comes out of their mouth, automatically I'm going to start exhaling just in case I'm going up, because most of them do. They just immediately start bolting for the surface. That's their reaction. Something happened, I go up. They look up, they get out of trim, and they're going up, 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 up. That's just a normal brand new diver reaction.
Yeah.
They're not, oh, my regulator fell out, I'm in perfect trim, which they're probably not, and they reach and they grab it and they never change depth.
I get it.
That's would be nice in theory, and that is true. They would have no problem holding their breath if they weren't like, my regulator just fell out and they're just kicking, immediately kicking, already out of trim, and they're like, dude, come here.
No, that's
what I worry about.
I just feel that if you bolt to the surface, okay, and you blew out all your air in 5 seconds, that makes it harder for you to get to the surface too.
I know. It's a balance. But I'm
I don't know.
I'm going to have to lean towards continue to
No,
blow those
and I
bubbles.
talked to other instructors, and instructors, I think most open water instructors are from this point of view that my students are imbeciles. So we have these rules because my students are complete idiots. And that's why
it's not that they're idiots, it's that they're new and they panic.
But you don't think you think it's impossible to basically explain it like people are sensible humans and be like,
no, I think
look,
it's possible.
If you are not changing depth, you can hold your breath.
Yeah, I think it's possible, but unfortunately, when they really have the emergency, they don't do what they just explained.
Right. All right. Well,
not everybody. That's exaggeration. Some of them are going to bolt. Why do I know this? Because I've seen them bolt so many times. It'll just make your mind shake. It's like, where are you going? I can't even get them. I'm like, I got people down here. They're flying up. They just tend to look up and go up. So anyway, that's right.
I'm trying to remember when we.
And by the way, it's okay to disagree, but I'm gonna lean towards keep blowing those bubbles if the reg comes out for now.
I don't know. Okay. I remember when we did the rescue class here, like my rescue class, we were doing something in the pool and somebody just blew to the surface.
Yeah.
Like from the.
Yeah, I remember that.
I'm trying to remember what skill was it. Did they just panic and went to the surface? I remember being at the bottom. It's like, we're in a pool. Like what?
I know. I kind of remember, and I don't know if their mask came off or something. They do. They really do. It happens. So we don't. Anyway.
We have another tip that kind of talks about this, so we're gonna get into that a little bit more. So let's just keep going.
Why scuba divers can't share air with snorkelers. This sounds crazy. If you're a scuba diver and you're 30 feet down and a snorkeler comes to you and he's like, I need air, share air. You cannot give him air. That sounds terrible. You're just going to watch this man die. If you give him air, you could cause him to die because snorkelers are used to holding their breath. The number one rule of scuba diving is not to hold your breath. Long story short, if you give this snorkeler air and he takes off to the surface while holding his breath, this compressed air from your scuba cylinder will expand his lungs until he has a lung overexpansion injury. So you could kill him by sharing air. The best thing you can do is say no, back up, and watch him. You can watch him, and if he doesn't make it to the top, if he has a shallow water blackout, grab him, take him up, initiate the life-saving procedures that you should know if you're scuba diving. This is why you don't share air with snorkelers.
I don't have anything to add. I agree.
That was our last tip, but come on.
I would not. I don't want a snorkeler. Because they will hold their breath going up on that compressed air.
Okay.
And not only that, let me tell you how bad it really is. They're in the first atmosphere. Likely.
I get it.
You're likely 33 feet or above when that free diver, if they're even a free diver or they're just some guy at Jenny Springs that decides to look underwater for a second.
Yeah.
That's 14 years old, and they think it's cool to breathe off your regulator, and they go straight up from like 20 feet. That's going to double, man. At 33 feet, it's going to double.
10 meters, yeah.
And the only thing you do is look up and see an explode.
All right. First of all.
And that's what I worry about.
Has anyone ever heard of anyone that this happened to?
But what if
it
does
like
happen?
Bigfoot. But it's like Bigfoot. People say it exists. They've seen it, taking pictures.
Because divers I don't think they're giving them their air. I've never seen a guy come down and...
First of all, if this ever happens, I highly, highly doubt that this snorkeler who's about to die is going to be like, hey. I mean, do you want to share?
No, they're just playing
They'll
games.
rip the thing out of your mouth, okay?
Okay, well then
they're not going to ask you. Okay, but if somebody...
Why not hold them at that point, keep the regulator in their mouth, get your alternate, and bring them up?
Yeah, that's different.
Fine.
But the whole idea that somebody's going to come and be like, I'm dying, and you're going to be like, no, you die of drowning.
No, I would help them and bring them up. That's what I would do.
Okay,
I would, but not the game of I'm going to swim down, take a breath, and I've seen them want to do this. I've seen this happen because they're young. They don't know. They just think it's cool. Oh, they breathe off of it and then they swim up. That's really dangerous.
Personally, and again, I got to remind everybody, I'm not a doctor. Personally,
I keep forgetting.
I think it's impossible to blow your lungs if you hold your breath. Just listen. Let me make the statement. I'm gonna be the one who's
Don't
gonna get
use
murdered.
my name in those comments.
All right. I think it's
Oh,
impossible.
no, man, it is.
All right.
No, don't say that.
Impossible. Impossible.
Oh my God, he's gonna get so many comments.
To blow up your lungs. All right. If you hold your breath on the way up, as long as your head is the highest part of your body. If you're inverted, okay, and you go up and there's no way for this air to escape, I think you can overexpand your lungs and hurt yourself.
You know,
back.
you used the word impossible.
Impossible.
That's
I think
strong.
it's impossible.
Do you think that's a strong word?
It doesn't matter.
How many comments do you think you're going to get?
Here's the point.
Let's estimate that
Okay.
now. I think it's possible.
I don't think
that
it's
you're going to get 2,000 comments.
Well, okay. I don't think it's possible for you to go up from 10 meters, from 33 feet, hold your breath, and not have... Like, dude, when we're on the rebreather, okay, and you have a full loop volume, you have a full rebreather full of air. Let's just put it in easy terms. You go up a couple feet, and your cheeks feel like they're going to blow up. You can't hold it. After a couple feet, you can't hold it. And you're telling me that somebody's going to go full double and hold it in and their lungs are going to explode and they're going to be like, just hold it in?
It could already have caused lung damage before they exhale.
That's not going to happen. Come on. Get out of here.
Gee.
Stop it.
You do not comment.
That's
This
just
is
nonsense.
This is
Whatever.
No bueno. You knew we were going to agree on this.
No,
you?
it's
this
listen,
is dangerous.
It's not. I'm not telling
Are you
people to
crazy?
do it. I'm not telling people to do it. All I'm saying is
I'm telling you not to do it.
It's
Definitively, Woody is saying do not.
Not gonna happen. It doesn't happen. It won't happen. That's not a thing.
No, I can't. I can't. I can't.
It doesn't happen.
It's so bad.
Listen,
I can't.
You cannot hold your breath and go from 33 feet to the surface with your
But
head.
you already damaged your lungs on the way up.
But you can damage them if you can't hold the air.
Oh, you're
in.
saying that you're going to have
It's
to
impossible.
exhale before you even start damaging?
You
You
have
could
to.
damage your lungs moving 2 feet, 3 feet. Yes.
Stop it. That's not. That's
yes,
nonsense.
it is not.
Okay, if you're
Even a couple of feet, you could have a lung overexpansion injury.
If your head is the
compressed
highest, the shallowest part of your body, let's just say that, the closest thing to the surface, all right, I don't think you can hold your breath. I don't think you can. Your body parts will not let you hold the air in a way that you can hurt your lungs. Now, if you go feet first, right, and the air has nowhere to escape, I think your lungs would get damaged badly and you can die. But
you're not going to test this, right? Not
I'm
even
not.
for 2
No,
feet.
I'm not. Nobody should test
Oh,
it.
because
Let's
I
make
need
that
the
clear.
van finished.
Okay. Let's make this clear. Do not
I
try
can't
this at
finish
home.
it on my own.
I don't even know how we can try it. Like,
We're
I
not
wish,
trying. It's
no,
very
no.
simple.
I'm just saying. I wish we had like a mannequin, like a humanoid of some kind. All right.
And blow them up and hurt them?
No, and like inflate their lungs and hold their head. And I guarantee you it's impossible to blow up their lungs. You can't do it.
This could be the new world's record
For
of the most
for
comments,
negative comments?
of the most hate comments. I've gotten a lot before with some of my theories.
You'll be surprised.
This could be the new. Congratulations!
Just hey,
it's a brand new world's record.
Team Gus. Comment below.
I don't.
Comment
I'm
below.
not trying to convince.
Letting people know that I'm right. Tell people he's right. It's impossible.
Okay.
That's it. We're gonna have. You'll be surprised. It might be a new record for YouTube. I don't think Mr. Beast is gonna have.
I don't want to tell anybody to do anything that could even remotely
saying,
come close to
I'm
hurting
saying
them.
comment. I'm not saying do this.
Absolutely, don't even think about doing this.
Of course not. That's clear. Don't do it. I'm saying
But you
comment
said
below.
it was impossible. That's strong.
Well, I think people will know. People will agree with me. It's impossible. All right? Don't try it. Do not try it. Don't. Like, how much more can I say don't try this at home?
This
All right?
is going to be an explosion. You know
It's not going to happen. Nobody's going to try it to find
an
out.
explosion of comments.
It's impossible. Okay. Comments below. Comment below and tell them how you agree with me. But
I just got it.
If somebody comes to you and they're dying and they don't have any air and you follow the tip in this video and Woody's tip on don't give him air because they're for sure going to die.
Or hold them and give them air and bring them up.
Okay. If you, like Woody, want people to die, then at least you can watch
hold
him.
your breath. And go,
At least you can watch him drown.
Right. That's not right.
Listen,
defend me, please. Come on.
That's
not right.
We talked about what happens when you drown in detail. We talked about this. He got heated. And in case you haven't seen that video, I'm going to leave it right here. Don't be Woody. Save a life. Don't watch him drown like this video.
I don't even want to hurt it like an ant.
We'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.